what I've heard. I've heard that. Oh no! Don't smack the microphone. What did he ever do to you?
Right away when we go live, smacking the microphone.
Smacking the microphone. He's smacking the microphone.
Moved you down a little bit. How
dare you? Do you know who
I know. I think. Well, let's see if you're straight on YouTube.
Two youths.
Nope. It's backwards on YouTube. Let's see if we can flip this around.
Flip this switch. I love it. Oh, we're live.
We're live.
We're live. We never said that. We're live.
We're live.
Hello.
See if this changes.
This is Nick, and definitely not an advanced AI that was written by
now
ChatGPT.
it looks right. Let's see. I think that's right. Yeah, now it says Bantha Milk. I think it said it before. I don't know. Whatever.
Into that bit.
All right.
We're live. I hear us.
I hear us. I see us.
I hear music in the night. I hear music and it's bright. Oh, yes, it is. You like that?
That was good singing.
It's a little known song by Mozart.
By Mozart.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
That was his mellower era.
Yeah, I didn't know. Mozart sang all those fun songs
you have to
like that.
believe it because I'm a musician.
Right.
I know what I'm talking about.
Look, you said it on the internet. It's got to be real.
That's the truth.
That's the truth.
We're getting right into it today. Screw an intro.
Let's see. Which one is this one? Is this the right one?
Which one is this one? And which one is that? Which one is biscuit? And which? Ooh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
This is the right one.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
What is happening?
What is happening? I'm hearing sounds.
Sounds are not what we want.
Is it coming from you or is it coming from me?
They were my sounds.
They were your sounds.
The sounds were my known.
The sound. You want to hear the sound of silence?
Yeah, I do. Hello, darkness, my old friend.
No, that's not it. You're making noise.
It's time to talk with you again.
Still making noise.
That's the sound of silence.
That is not
the name
the
of the
sound
song.
Oh, sure. Now that's the name of the song.
Man.
Whatever.
Garful and Simuncle.
Garful and Simuncle. Uncle Garfunkel.
Uncle Garf. Oh, I like that in the live stream. Lizzo and Jack are
hanging out with us.
Chilling.
Yeah.
I'm glad we could get that. I'm glad we could book them.
We booked them. We got them on the show.
You think that their faces are going to be like DCMA strike us? Like, I'm sorry, you are not allowed to use these.
You're not allowed to use the image, the representation of these two characters.
Yeah. What say we begin?
Let's say we begin. For those of you watching on live right now, this is my mask. My wife bought me this sleep mask for some reason.
I saw your dog carrying that around earlier.
Yeah, it must be funny with him with it on his face. He's got huge bug eyes. All right, let's start recording this and let's do something.
Let us do something.
Oops, I stopped it and started.
I can't believe you would do that.
I know. I didn't.
Bush League.
It is. I hit record multiple times.
That was your problem. Only hit it one time.
Oh, I forgot about that also. Only hit it.
Nowadays, everybody wants to talk when they got something to say.
I know.
It comes out when they move the lips. It's a bit of gibberish. Now we're DCMA'd. Now for real. On
this episode of Bantha Milk Podcast, lots and lots of cameos.
Yeah.
Intro music. A complicated profession.
That new intro slaps.
It does slap.
Slaps
Is that what the
hard.
kids are saying these days?
All the youngins.
All the youngins.
I'm sure that that's what they were saying like half a year ago. At this point, if it's something that's reached me using it ironically, then yeah, probably
then it's beyond cool anymore.
Yeah. But I don't have as much Riz as a lot of them.
Yeah.
Do. Riz is another.
You
one
have
they
Riz,
use,
yeah. I know about Riz.
And all of the sudden, well, with yeah. Sure. I'm sure your daughter keeps you hip to all of that.
No, she won't tell me anything.
That's
I have
fair.
to find out from the kids at school.
That's
and then
fair.
I ask her and I say, what does this mean? And she just chuckles and ignores me.
Well, just go to Urban Dictionary. Urban Dictionary is your friend.
That's what I have to do. I have to do that from
But
now
we're
on.
back. It's a Bantha Milk podcast.
Yes, it is.
We're here to talk about a lot of freaking things.
A lot of freaking things.
The first of which is that Rob's beard is still here.
Still here.
Right? We're talking November, December, January, February, March, April. Man, we're going on 6 months.
6 months.
We're halfway to your yeared.
Yeared.
Yeah, man.
It's a yeared of the beard.
So a lot of like the more when I was trying to grow my beard, because it legitimately took me a long time to do so.
Okay.
I would go on like the beard subreddit to like see all these, and basically what everyone says is you want to grow a beard, grow it and don't touch it for usually 3 months, 4 months, and everyone's like gets to 1 month and they're like, no, I can't, I gotta shave it. Like, no, don't do it.
Don't do it.
And it wasn't until I literally did that I was like, oh gosh, look, I have a beard. Anyway, some of them go for the yeared, which is literally not touching it for 1 year.
Oh.
No grooming, and then they'll go for their 2 year anniversary, 3 years, and you get some pretty interesting.
Yeah,
and
we'll have to get RGH
beards.
back on our beard podcast.
Yeah,
because as you know, he was a
beard
award winner.
I had a buddy in grad school who won an award for their beard, and it was they had like the Fu Manchu.
Okay.
But it was connected all the way down to their stomach, because it would like connect down their neck hair into their chest hair, past their nipples. Like they specifically curate it through their nipples and down. It was just a long strain down to their nethers. It was horrifying and beautiful to behold. Anyway, I don't think we're a beard.
No.
But you keep looking. What's going on?
I'm looking
here?
to see if you need to turn your mic just a little bit, maybe. Yes.
I am checking
there
my microphone.
Go. Oh my goodness! Now you are.
I was wondering because you were giving me some spooky, scary vibes.
I'm trying to look,
there,
and I'm like, no.
I'm like, do I have some in my teeth?
I'm looking at the levels, and you're lower than I was, and I was like, I have you turned up pretty loud.
I bet they can hear me now.
Now they can hear you. Now
they can hear me now, Paul. All right.
Okay.
So anyway, now that everyone can hear my dulcet tones,
that's right.
And everyone can see Rob's beard, you should be checking us out on YouTube right now, live. If you're not, maybe you're checking us out on the myriad of different places you can catch us.
Sure.
On the social medias. And while I pour myself a drink, you should do the same. What are you drinking over there, Mr. Roberto?
So I found some 21st Amendment Hell or High pomegranate.
Ooh, that sounds delightful.
Yes, I don't know if I'm going to like it or not. Hopefully I did, because I got a 4 or 6 pack or something like that.
You're not a pomegranate fan?
I don't know. Beer brewed with pomegranate and natural flavors.
Sounds like is it like a Belgian white or something?
It's
like
a session. I have to pull out the glasses because it's so small.
That's what
font
cheat
written on here. It's only a 4.3. It's a seasonal release, and it just says that it's just a beer.
Just a beer.
Just a beer.
This is beer.
This is beer. Beer brewed with pomegranate and natural flavors.
That's all it gives you. That's the only descriptor.
Yeah. So since on our parent website, organization, podcast that never mentions us ever, Ears Up with that guy Z. You can check them out on Ears Up -podcast or without the hyphen if you want to .com.
Wow.
Yeah, the website's been, Jason's been bragging about it. It's been redone. It looks really nice. As soon as we update the show and put it on there, it automatically sends a feed over to the website, so it gets it connected automatically, which is very nice as well.
I love that.
A lot less work for me to do. So it's nice. It's a good, check it out. But you can do with or without the hyphen. If you forget about the hyphen, you can do Ears Up podcast.
Use the hyphen.
Use the hyphen.
Like just for us, because
I think old school.
I think we need to celebrate that. Sometimes we need to take a little more time in our day-to-day lives to appreciate the little things. So,
right, and the little things are hyphens.
Today's message on this very special Bantha Milk podcast episode is take time for the hyphen.
Take time for the hyphen.
Anyway, I'm
so that's our main one, Ears Up, and Ears Up in Depth. You can also go to Scraping the Vault.
Scrape that vault.
And the Supreme Resort. Those guys, they wouldn't let us. I sent a message about the Ahsoka trailer, and one of them wrote back, "You're not getting a new trailer. You're stuck in the one that you have."
That's ridiculous, because I got to tell you, our Wi-Fi is spotty as hell.
I know.
And like literally yesterday, I was trying to, do what people do, and the septic tank is
all backed up, and they won't change it. They won't let us in the house to do anything. So
thanks, Ears Up.
Yeah, thanks, Ears Up. Thanks for giving us the trailer in the back. Those Puny Pod guys, they get a brand new studio indoors. Great air conditioning
conditioning
in the trailer.
That's about it.
That's about all we got. So Heller High Pomegranate from 21st Amendment.
All this to say.
Which is a big sponsor of Ears Up. So check this out. Oh, the lid is on really tight. So.
Yeah, see, you had to employ the use.
There we go. That was a good one.
You had to employ the use of a tool.
I had to have a tool.
To open that up. There we go. Let's see you do it. Look at him. He's covering it with his hands so we don't see.
Here we go. I'll do it this way now because this has some nice coloring to it as well. I think from the pomegranate that's in the beer. Yeah, since it's just nice. Beer with pomegranate. Look at that. No head.
No, for the first time. Just a tiny bit at the end, and that's exactly what you want. Look at
that's
that.
what you want. That's a
the
perfect pour.
Look at you. 10 out of 10.
Ding, ding, ding. Perfect
so it's been a great
right
episode, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. I
think we
peaked right there. We can go ahead and call it.
It's all downhill from here.
You should try and drink it, though.
I should do that. What are you pouring over there?
This is my classic bullet. This is the thing that I have at home that lets me feel nice and cozy and warm.
There you go.
At the end of a difficult day of power washing.
Washing.
So if you're at home, not driving in your car, because don't do that.
Don't drink and drive.
But if you are at home,
you might spill your beer.
No, that is Michael Scott over here. We're gonna have mad on us.
That's right.
Anyway, if you are at home, snuggling up with your headphones, with Nick and Rob in your ears, whispering sweet Star Wars nothings into your ears.
Sweet Star Wars
Pour yourself a glass of Bantha milk, and we've got a lot to talk about, so let's get into it.
So do you want to get right into it? Let's get into this, because there's a lot of this going on.
Star Wars news. Bonk. Star Wars news. Lots of it because Star Wars Celebration hath occurred. Right, and so lots and lots of stuff announced, lots of new projects, lots of old projects, lots of projects that are of medium age. So a lot of things announced, right? So why don't we go through them?
Well,
the big ones.
There was a trailer.
Yeah, the trailer was So we will probably need like an episode simply dedicated to breaking down the trailer.
Especially since at the end, I think it said like Christmas or something like that. So it's not coming out for quite some time. We only have 2 episodes left of The Mandalorian.
Yeah, so I think you can expect sometime in the spring we will go ahead and break down. There's a lot to break down in that trailer, right? From the people we saw in live action finally to... the fact that we're seeing Thrawn, the fact that
we saw Hera, we saw Chopper,
we saw
Ahsoka did a really cool move with her lightsabers to cut a circle so she could fall down.
Well, our buddy Chris, friend of the podcast, who has been on before, he actually pointed out to me that they redid the final episode or the final scene of Rebels. Like the very last scene of Rebels is like Ahsoka walking up to Sabine and being like, "Hey, it's been a while," and her being like, "Things of whatever," and we saw that happen in the trailer.
Right.
So it looks like they're literally starting off where Rebels
left off.
They're giving it the what other thing did this? Was it Clone Wars where they redid something in live action as?
So
they kind of did with the the battle over Coruscant,
right? And there was it earlier this season, a Mandalorian. Somebody was saying the exact same things that they said in the cartoon as well,
right? But this looks like they're literally taking that last scene and picking up right there and starting with that. We also saw Ezra. In a hologram, right? A little hologram of Ezra at one point. So a lot that we can pick apart.
There's a lot of Rebels characters in this, which is going to be really cool.
Considering we just saw Zeb in
in the Mandalorian last week.
Yeah, so it means we got a lot coming up, right?
Yes, that's very exciting with that.
So the Ahsoka trailer, you can expect us to break down sometime in the next month or so. Be listening. If you miss it, I will send Rob out to find you.
That's right. I will hunt you down,
and he will make you.
And I will make you watch it. That's please, or just let you watch the trailer if you missed it.
Yeah.
There's also a lot of Twitter went and exploded over.
Twitter's still a thing.
Twitter's still a thing. Somebody named Daisy Ridley.
Oh, that one.
Yes.
Oh, Rey Palpatine.
Rey Palpatine is back.
Yeah.
So they're making a 3 new movie arc about her.
Is
about
it a 3 movie arc with Rey?
That's what I'm hearing.
Okay, I thought
3
it was
movie
1.
arc, 3 directors.
Okay, that's
always works out great.
Well, no, so I don't mind different directors so long as someone is keeping track. Because, like, the original Star Wars trilogy had 3 different directors.
True.
But God, I hope they've learned their lesson.
Yes.
Especially, I'm excited to see them try and rebuild the Jedi Order. Like, that's what I've been waiting for. And it only makes sense that if Rey is still out there, she would do that. Especially since they had Broom Boy. They set up the fact that yes, there are still people out there that use the Force and are, so
yeah, 3 new Star Wars movies are coming, including one with Daisy Ridley as Rey. That's what the latest.
Yeah, because I'm seeing here that the 3 live action are going to be directed by Filoni, Mangold, and Charmin Obey Chinoy. I've never heard of that person.
No, I never heard of that person either.
But I don't think I've ever heard of James Mangold either. I probably should have heard of these people because it looks like Chinoy is an Academy Award and Emmy Award winning director behind Ms. Marvel, Saving Face, and more. That's the one that's set after the events of Rise of Skywalker with Daisy Ridley.
Okay.
Cool. I'm glad for several reasons. Because I want to see them do her character better.
Yes.
And develop her more.
And I mean, she did say she wasn't going to do Star Wars anymore.
Yeah. I just hope that the fan base gets their head out of their asses and actually does I don't know. I feel like with Filoni at the helm of a lot of this stuff, we're on track. Because Filoni hasn't done a movie yet, right?
I don't think he has. He's done all the cartoons.
And everything Filoni's done has been great. With the exception of Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah. I don't know.
The more I think about Book of Boba Fett, the less I like about it.
The less Because
I watched that scooter chase again the other day because I'm a
masochist. And of all the things to watch, you chose that.
Well, my buddy Chuck is very behind on Star Wars content, and he was disillusioned by the chase scene in Obi-Wan.
Okay.
Where Leia was running away from what he called the putties, the putty patrol.
Okay.
And they couldn't catch her. So I said, if you think that's bad, wait till you see
this. Wait till you see this.
To which he responded, I hate you for sharing this with me.
He said, I can't unsee this now.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time reconciling that, but I can just ignore that and just make believe Mando is all of that.
Yes. Daisy Ridley's movie is 15 years after Rise of Skywalker. Did you say that?
I did not say that, no. All right,
yeah,
so
one of the biggest announcements
Rey.
was the return of Daisy Ridley as Rey in a new movie that will follow the events of Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker, which concluded the most recent Skywalker trilogy in 2019. Charmin Chinoy, like you said, Miss Marvel, is directing the still untitled Rey movie from a script by Stephen Knight of Peaky Blinders. Did you watch Peaky Blinders?
I did not, but I've heard good things.
It's good. It's very, I think it's Irish and Ireland Irish, and so the accents are really thick, so it's really hard to follow. You have to really pay attention. If you don't speak English good like us, then you have to pay very close attention.
The Queen's English. So I hope with that one they lean into her dark past a little bit.
Yeah.
I hope that it's not just she's Rey Skywalker now, and that's
she's the new hero.
But I hope that they have learned that we didn't really dig that Rey Skywalker. That's ridiculous to lean into and adopt and. The whole thing was you don't need to run from who you are, and then at the end she's like, no, I'm not a Palpatine.
I'm not a Palpatine.
So I don't know. I hope they go into that with their thinking caps
yes. on. What are you doing on April 28th?
I have a pedicure. Why?
Wow. You're missing out. There's this new movie that's coming out called Return of the Jedi.
Oh, well, lucky for me, my pedicure is scheduled for the Cinemark.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. Good. Because Star Wars Return of the Jedi will be back in theaters on April 28th for the 40th anniversary. Yes.
Wow. Wait.
Is
40th anniversary.
At its Star Wars.
You know what that means? That means I'm turning 40 in this decade.
Yes.
That's horrifying.
That means that I saw it in the theater.
I wasn't alive.
Yeah, I know you weren't alive. At its Star Wars Celebration event in London, Disney announced it would release the classic film in cinemas in the U.S., UK, and other parts of the world on April 28th. The theatrical, easy for you to say, return will give Star Wars fans a chance to celebrate the movie ahead of its 40th anniversary on May 25th. Nice. There was that. The Acolyte Star Wars series will hit Disney in 2024. So that's next year. So that's good news. Star Wars The Bad Batch is getting a third and final season.
Oh, okay. It's ending. That's cool.
I've been watching it very slowly and not on time. It's good. It just doesn't. It's not pulling me in.
Yeah.
The way the other ones were. What else was there? There was the Daisy Ridley was a big one. The 3 movies that we're going to find out about.
Skeleton Crew.
Right.
They got a little info about that. Yet to reveal an exact date, but it did have a trailer.
So I'm thinking they're going to use the. There was a trailer. Is this
like a teaser?
Wait, what's the Skeleton Crew? I forget what that one was.
Jude Law focused on a younger cast of characters honed in very much on the show's Goonies inspirations.
Okay.
Kids in class going through a residential area, running through a forest, and much more. So it might be like for younger kids.
Okay, because I was thinking of the other one with the pilot one that got canceled because of.
Oh yeah, the
Space Cops.
Thing.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah, your Space Cops one. So
Tales of the Jedi is getting a second season.
Yes, that'll be exciting.
Star Wars Visions
Volume 2 teases Aardman's take on Wookiees.
Oh. Lando series is apparently still happening. Star Wars Jedi Survivor gameplay trailer. I'm so upset. You know who got a PS5 is Brian.
Did he really? You have to go over his house. Yeah, I'm sure he bought it also.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, it's not out yet, but I'm sure he will. I'm just going to sit next to him as he plays and take notes.
The other thing, I don't know how my son got a 3-month free subscription to Xbox for the PC.
Huh.
Xbox Game Pass. So with it has a whole bunch of games that you can play for free as long as you have the Xbox Game Pass. So he started playing the Jedi, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
It's a great one.
Yeah, he was getting into that.
It's very good.
Because the second one you can play on the PC even though you don't have an Xbox.
Yeah, I might have to do that.
Yeah, so you might have to play it on the PC. Anywho, so there's some big news.
And 2025 will take place in Japan. Star Wars Celebration will be in Japan. So
all right,
if you start sending, go to the earsup.com
/
our Patreon, right?
Yeah.
And then when you get there, make sure you in your $2,500 donation, make sure you write in the comments for Bantha Milk Star Wars Celebration 2025 Japan.
Yes.
Also, make sure you include all of the digits of your Social Security number. Just for tax purposes.
Just for tax purposes.
Yeah. Anyway, that's our news roundup. A lot of news.
A lot of news.
Star Wars Celebration.
So, with that being said, I feel like I'm missing something, but I can't remember what it was, so whatever.
Kevin! Sorry, it's just a Home Alone. I was inspired.
You forgot Kevin.
Oh, no.
As you're already in Paris. Anybody knows that we're missing one
terrible
kid?
Parents. Twice.
They
got to Paris, then they were going to freaking, California? I don't know. Thank God John Candy was there with his clarinet to drive her across the country.
That is true. Otherwise, it would have been really, really bad news.
Except they got back at the same time, so.
So it worked out perfectly.
Yeah, anyway.
And planes, trains, and automobiles.
So good.
You're going the wrong way. How do they know where we're going? That was one of the greatest lines of all time. All right, we're going to take a commercial break, and then we'll come back and we'll break down The Mandalorian because it was a good episode. And Nick had a very good point in our chat as to why I am now not as disappointed in this season of The Mandalorian. So we'll talk all about that after this commercial break. Sure, we're back.
Hey, we are.
Hey,
I forgot we were back. I missed you. I missed your beard more than everything.
Gotta love the beard.
So there's
we
an
have spoken.
Oh, we're done. All
no,
right.
We're all done.
He said we have spoken. Like you can't say the thing.
I know that's the ending thing.
It's just like that's what happens, man. It's man.
So I'm not gonna lie. my initial breakdown of this episode was not very good because I was getting sick and tired of this season because I wanted a giant major story arc with Grief Karga. Mostly because he was in all of the press junkets at the beginning of the season.
Right.
So if you're going to have a guy in the press junket, I would expect the guy to be in the show.
Sure.
Bo-Katan's been in it all over the place. Obviously, Mando. Even Carl Weathers. Grief Karga. He's been in and out of episodes with his hair dyed very, very dark and his beard very, very gray. But we've been through 6 of the 8 episodes and we haven't seen
Moff Gideon.
Moff Gideon
but
once.
He's been talked about as like this big scary baddie for the whole
time.
Right,
the whole time. And it's kind of like the way they talked about Boba Fett in episode 7 of the movies, not Return of the Jedi, The Empire Strikes Back.
Right.
Where they're like, oh, the biggest bounty hunter of all time. Like, kind of like that is the way they're talking about Grief Karga right now. Like, oh, he got out and he did this and he did that and blah, blah, blah. But we don't see him at all. And I thought for sure it was going to be this giant overlaying story arc. But at the same time, we talked about it last week where Jon Favreau said he could do this as long as he's having fun with this.
Right. As long
and if it's just constant Grief Karga steals Baby Yoda to get his DNA and gives him back, rinse and repeat, it's going to be pretty boring after a while.
Right.
But I was waiting for that, and it wasn't happening. And then you made a very good point about him being what was the trope you called him?
A hedge knight.
A hedge knight.
Right. So I'm also big into the Game of Thrones, Song of Ice and Fire books, and so there's a hedge knight is a thing that I guess actually existed, but was also big in this context of Game of Thrones, where it's a knight who doesn't work for like a household. Like most lords would like have knights that were under their service, or else there were some knights that were landed knights, and those knights actually held some land. But a hedge knight was a hedge that would travel from place to place, like basically a step above a sellsword. Because they were knights supposedly, and so they would go from one place to another looking for work. And so there's actually a group of small, shorter novelettes, novellas, I guess he calls them.
Okay.
That George R.R. Martin wrote. They're called The Hedge Knight, and they follow Sir Duncan the Tall and Egg. They're called Dunk and Egg.
Dunk and Egg.
Dunk and Egg. And that's what the people in the fan base call it, Dunk and Egg. But Sir Duncan the Tall is just this like kid essentially. He's like 16. He was a squire to this dude Sir Arlen of Pennytree, and he died. And so apparently Sir Arlen knighted him, and so he's this knight, and he stumbles along, and like I said, he finds this kid, this bald kid, and says, this kid, he's my squire now. And it turns out he's like a Targaryen prince.
Okay.
And that Targaryen prince would later on become a king. And we know that, but like he's a kid here. And so it like is essentially these two people who don't know like that they're stumbling. They're smaller stories. Like they're 3 out of 7 are actually released right now. And the first one is like they meet, and essentially they're at like this tournament, and like it's just about what happens at this tournament. But it turns out what happens at this tournament is enormously important because the heir to the king dies at this tournament, and then like again every single one is just a smaller scale thing, and the whole thing with the Hedge Knights like theme is like small stories going from place to place, like helping people and finishing that, but like then. Like the ripple effect of like the splash in the pond and how that has like effect on the larger story. And I feel like there's a good parallel with this. Like the Mandalorian is essentially a hedge knight, right? He started out as a bounty hunter, which is essentially a sellsword, right? If we parallel that, and through whatever his own actions and his own like personal code that he and his people follow, he is essentially above that and became above that because he wanted to be. And he met this kid, whatever. And so this kid is essentially his squire, and he's the knight. and they're traveling from place to place, and it's more about the smaller stories that happen and that shape the bigger stories around it.
Okay, perfect. Yes. Once you wrote that, I was like, yeah, I agree. Now that I'm thinking about it, the big story arc for this one is getting back Mandalore.
Right.
And I guess that's where the last 2 episodes are going to be the big battle, because we saw that there were Imperial ships around Mandalore in an earlier episode. So that's what's going to happen in the next 1 or 2 episodes. It's going to be this giant battle for Mandalore. So that's the major story arc. Not that it's a soft story arc. I don't want to put it that way, but it wasn't what I was expecting the major story arc for this season to be.
Right.
So now that I understand what the story arc is, and now that I understand, because even like in season 2, even though he was on the run the whole time from Darth Maul or not Darth Maul, Moff Gideon, it was a lot of going here, helping this person, doing this and doing that, while he was trying to complete his quest.
And that's kind of how it always has been. In the first season, we had the like jungle fighting with the ATST, and we had the lizard lady, the frog lady, and
the spider episode.
And again, this is like, just my take on it. It could be whatever. That's just kind of what I kind of am getting from it. And I'm guilty of the same stuff where I also thought like, man, I figured this would be, more, we'd get somewhere quicker by now.
Yeah.
But I think that, if you parallel what's going, like you said, the overall story being, at the end of this, it's going to lead to the either eventual retaking or them trying to retake Mandalore, and all the smaller steps that we had to get there. The third novella for the Hedge Knight is like they go and they hold a tournament, to honor like some dude's name day or something, and it's like, oh, it's just a tournament. And when they get there, realize it's actually like a Blackfire conspiracy, and they're all there banding together to like, retake the throne. And then Bloodraven comes and puts an end to it all, and it's like considered the third Blackfire rebellion. It's like this, it's like all this smaller thing that affects a much larger thing.
Yeah.
So that could be complete. Maybe that's what they're going for. Maybe it's not, but it helps me.
Yes, definitely, and it also helped me because I was just like wanting more, I guess, because I wanted the big battles, but at the same time, I forgot who the Mandalorian was when we first met him. He was just a bounty hunter. He was just a dude who was doing jobs to make his way through the galaxy. And that's what the Mandalorians as a whole are. They're not a hero. They're not the good guys. They're not the bad guys.
And we're getting definitely a little bit of that with these newer episodes. We see a little bit of that for sure.
Yeah. So that changed my perception of this episode. And it is interesting. The past 2 or 3 episodes have had a lot of cameos in it.
Yeah, this one was like all. I think they just decided we've got a little extra money. We're gonna get Lizzo. We're gonna Jack Black, and Lizzo's gonna have
and Christopher Lloyd.
And Chris, that's right. And then Lizzo's gonna have a holodress.
Yes.
That is just ridiculous and over the top. But yeah, I mean, I liked the cameos. I thought the Christopher Lloyd one was fantastic.
Yeah,
like I loved it.
I did feel bad though. Christopher Lloyd.
He's definitely getting older.
Definitely getting older.
Well, did you ever watch Scrubs?
Yes.
So Ted on Scrubs, the lawyer?
Yes.
So that's his nephew.
Okay.
He actually passed away not too long ago.
Ted did.
Okay. And so like, it was just always interesting. You'd see pictures of them together every now and then because they were related. But he was younger, and so Christopher Lloyd's got to be getting up there, 80s at least.
Yeah, he's definitely up.
But he's still, his acting chops are great.
Yeah.
He was definitely looking a little feeble, but he was perfect. And they need to have like Christopher Lloyd needs to be a part of the Star Wars universe.
Right. Yeah, and it was fun that he was there, just being a dude.
Yep.
I'm trying to look up.
I'll say I thought that Lizzo was a bad actor. Like she was fun. It was fun to see her there. Jack Black was ridiculous and silly, and I liked it.
And I felt like they really contained Jack Black. Like
Yeah.
I wanted him to be more Jack Blackish, but he was trying to be very noble.
Well, I think he was dancing a fine line, because if any more than that, and I think there are still people who are going to say, "Oh, it was over the top," but I think that's the point of that place, is that it's very over the top, and that you're going to get those people that actually exist, and who better to play it than Jack Black?
Right.
I hope that we see more Jack Black in Star Wars. I kind of doubt it, but I hope we do.
I think this is a one-off for Jack Black, but it was fun seeing him. I love this beard.
Yes. And again, I thought Lizzo was fun, and I thought, she was super into it, but she's not an actor.
Yes. And you could tell she wasn't an actor.
Yeah, so you could just kind of tell her lines were a little, rehearsed and stuff like that. They weren't as natural, but I was glad to see her in it. I like Lizzo. I learned recently that kids don't like Lizzo. I thought Lizzo was pretty, but no, just old people like me. I guess she had her minute.
She had her minute, and now the kids moved on to whatever the next thing is.
Yeah.
Christopher Lloyd, born at 1938.
My God, he's what, 90?
So he's 90
ish.
Yes.
38? No, he's like 80-ish.
Almost 90.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm bad at math. That's why I'm a music teacher. Anyway, so I guess we've been talking a lot about the episode. We haven't really talked about the episode, right?
85. No, we haven't talked about the episode.
85 years young.
85 years young, and he's going back to the future.
We're going back.
Okay, so
1.21 gigawatts.
It was supposed
actually, you were
to say,
right?
It's supposed to be gigawatts,
Yep.
but because gigawatts weren't like a big thing in the 80s,
they didn't know how to pronounce it.
They didn't know how to pronounce it, so they just said gigawatt instead of.
I wish it was gigawatts.
I know.
Because I'd love to, how big's your hard drive? Oh, 65 gigabytes. It's a small hard drive, bro.
Yeah, it's a small hard drive. Yeah, it was cool though. In the 90s, it was a big hard drive. Huge. One of the biggest hard drives.
It's everyone knows it.
Everyone knows how big my hard drive. Let me tell you about my hard drive, how big it is. It's huge. It's the biggest hard drive.
Mexico paid for it.
Mexico paid for it, and I'm not sharing it, and it's on my personal server, and nobody else can see it.
And lock her up.
It's not my fault. I didn't do it.
Anyway.
Chapter 22, Guns for Hire.
Guns for Hire.
Disney Plus's cryptic plot summary: The Mandalorian visits an opulent world. Opulence. It was pretty funny. One of the guys from Taco Supreme wrote that they visited they visited Star Wars Epcot.
Yeah.
It was very Epcotish.
It was Epcotish.
It was very Epcotish. It was pretty funny.
It was opulent, I guess you would say.
Opulent.
It was like, very indulgent, and one might say has a Sodom and Gomorrah like quality.
Yes.
So yeah, we what do we get there? How do we get there? What?
So it starts out they were looking for Bo-Katan and Mando.
They're looking for
her fleet. And they track down her fleet is on this planet. So they fly out and they're talking about it. And but even before then, we see the fleet themselves doing their Mandalorian bounty hunter jobs.
Right. They're like pulling some people in. And who was that? Oh, it was the weird freaking tentacle smooch.
Yes.
That was weird.
It was very weird.
I mean, I know that they're leaning into something that I'm sure that Aqualish Prince is someone. Or we would know because they spent a lot of time in Clone Wars with the Aqualish and with the royal family, so I'm sure we're supposed to know who that is. But I don't know, man.
It was really funny. They were like, "We'll pay you."
Well, much.
No, we were already getting paid, and then they were very, I don't want to say animatronic, but very puppeteerish on top of a person.
Yeah.
And the female. Her mouth barely moved at all, and it looked almost like it was just like a standing mannequin that was talking.
Yeah, and again, it just the tentacles when they smooched, it was so creepy.
It was creepy,
jiggly, and no.
It was interesting.
Me of, did you ever watch? I'm sure you did. Galaxy Quest.
Yeah.
Remember when the Tony Shalhoub makes out with the alien?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But it was interesting. You could tell that there was a lot of prosthetics.
Yes.
But then the tentacles were CGI'd in. And you could definitely tell if you looked closely at them they were very CGI-ish and not
the way they moved.
The way they moved and stuff. And I was like, wow. So somebody
had
went
a
through
green thing there, like hanging off the edge of there.
Yeah, so it was pretty funny. But yeah, the prince was a trip. No, you can't take me back to that palace. And I love it's the same thing with Aladdin, and it happens all the time of the princess, or in this case prince, who's tired of living in this wonderful palace because they don't have any freedoms whatsoever. Woe is me. And then the common folk want to be there.
I can show you the galaxy. Yeah, that's what they were doing. They were shining. They were splendid on a magic carpet ride.
They were magic carpet riding in your girlfriend's fancy spaceship. You don't want to mess up your girlfriend's fancy spaceship. And here comes Jafar. Oh, did you watch SNL?
I don't.
They had Jafar on the news.
Who was Jafar?
I forget what his name is. The Asian guy.
Oh, that guy.
On the cast. I forget what his name.
I literally could not name a single person on the cast except for Keenan.
Oh, well, that's because Keenan's been there for
forever.
Like 50 years now, yeah.
Since he was on All That when I was a kid.
And he went right from that into SNL. But it was pretty funny. He was basically saying that he was Jafar and that he was gay.
Oh.
So it was great.
Gay Jafar. Fabulous.
Gay Jafar. Yep.
Fabulous.
So now you know. He's like, look at my beard. Of course.
I saw someone on Facebook say the other day that Jafar looked like Prince. And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
He kind of does.
He kind of does.
Prince.
He kind of does.
Someone was like, can't you see this guy singing Purple Rain?
Yeah. Bryce Dallas Howard directed it. This episode. Yes.
It seemed
and it seemed like a Bryce Dallas Howard episode. And I said that in
the Mandalorian stuff.
Yeah, and I said that in our group chat, and somebody was like, "But she also directed the last episode of season 2, and that wasn't as soft and fluffy and cute as this one." But I felt like this just felt like when it ended, I was like, I bet Bryce Dallas Howard directed this one.
Yeah, and
I was correct, and I don't know why I felt that. It just had like an upbeat, it was just a fun episode the whole way through. They were like, oh, we don't know why we're having all these aliens. And
even like the trolley that made them go in and was like talking to them.
Yeah.
It was. Everything was just like, it didn't make it feel like less important or dangerous or anything like that, but it did seem like there was a lot more levity and fun and, it doesn't mean it was like light, but it was fun.
It was a fun episode. It was a fun, and it was
the fight between Bo-Katan and whatever the other dude's name.
Oh yeah,
was really fun and interesting, and again infuriating at times because you're like, use your freaking jetpack. Like when they were chasing, who were they chasing?
Right, I don't remember.
At one point, they were chasing someone down the street.
Yes,
Bo-Katan and Mando.
Oh, they were chasing the battle droid that went nuts.
Yes, that's right.
Yes.
And literally open streets, and she uses her jetpack to boost herself. I'm like, you can literally just
fly up
over
and right down
and
on
grab them.
Yeah.
I've seen y'all do it.
I've seen you do it. Yes.
I hate when they ride around. Like if you're gonna have a jetpack on the person, you need to make sure it can't be used.
Right.
Like it suspends all belief for me as a viewer. Maybe it's because I'm a picky ass, but
yeah, you gotta have Han Solo hit it in just the right spot so that it shoots you up into the air, and then you can't use it anymore.
And then you can use the Wilhelm scream.
Right.
That's when it's acceptable. We need to have that once I get everything up and running again.
Yes, you got to get that back.
Yep.
So. I'm just looking because I watched it Wednesday, and we're recording this now Monday, so some things have left my memory banks. But there were some. They went into a droid bar. That was a lot of fun. There was an RX droid in there, which was now DJ Rex at Olga's Cantina, but he was originally the pilot of Star Tours.
Right.
When it first came out, before they replaced him with C-3PO and R2-D2. It was fun seeing that extra droids in there, and DJ Rex was in there as well. So this doesn't break it down in a straight order. Then we get onto the planet. We first meet Jack Black and Lizzo, and like you said, Lizzo's dress was very fancy, even with a holographic flower display tail.
Like a trail almost.
Train. It was like a train. Yeah. That which was very interesting. That it was a holographic train. Her hair was big.
Holographic Train, new band name.
That's the new band name.
Ooh, like Train. Like
right.
Hey Soul Sister.
Yes, but a holographic train.
Yeah, so we don't have to see them
right.
or hear them.
So would it be spelled the same way? No, you're not a big fan?
No.
Okay. And moving on, we learned something new about Nick tonight.
Soul Sister.
Hey, Soul Sister.
Anyway.
And there was a funny scene when they were like, all the people on this planet were just happy to live their life. And it was because they had all these droids, these battle droids who were doing everything for you.
Like literal thing. Like how many people did these things kill? And now they're doing your laundry.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was what was fun. And I thought for sure, I thought they were going to bring it back and he was going to find like an IG unit there because he still needs to get that IG brain working for his old friend IG-11.
Do you think they're still going to do that? I think they abandoned that.
They let it out there and now they're just going to...
But didn't they need it for a specific reason?
Yes, to get him to Mandalore.
To Mandalore, and they got to Mandalore without him.
He got to Mandalore without him, so now he doesn't need it anymore. I don't know. But they took apart the statue.
Yeah, it does seem really stupid that they would bring him back for that.
They took apart the statue just to shoot him all over again and then to not use him. Yeah. So it's got to be...
And then he went to go get the memory core.
Right.
Which led to nothing. Right?
Led to nothing. He couldn't get the memory core. They couldn't find it. Even the little Mark Hamill guys couldn't get it. Babu Frick,
right,
who could get anything. He asked his friend on Tatooine. She was going to ask the Jawas.
And so instead she just gave them Skippy.
Instead she gave him Skippy, which
it?
We haven't seen Skippy since then either. Or has he been in... He's been in...
That seems like an abandoned plot line if they don't do anything with it.
Yeah. Like, why would you go through the effort of tearing apart the statue to almost use
droid.
them? Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I hope they find that and get back to it. But in a planet full of battle droids, there wasn't one IG droid in there that he could have used the brain out of?
I guess not.
So I guess not.
Just battle droids. Strictly Clone Wars tech.
Strictly Clone Wars battle droids.
So anyway, they land and Jack Black absconds him into his little lair and says, "Oh, we need your help." It was very Jack Blackish. Zippity-doo.
Zippity-doo. Let me play a song for you.
Oh man, we're terrible.
We are.
So then they have another fetch quest, as is something that happens.
Yes.
Wherein they have to go talk to the old man that is totally, the best, and he's there to help, and everything's great with him.
And he cares, and he wants to do everything the right way.
And he would have gotten away with it too if it weren't for these dang kids.
That's right.
So yeah, totally a bad guy. But at the end, they left that weird door open with him, like, "Oh, I hope I'm sorry," and
yeah. And they're like, well, whatever. But bring him back. I like Christopher Lloyd. He's a good guy. So they take him. They have to figure out why these battle droids are acting up. And so then somehow they get the clue as to where the next battle droid is going to go nuts, which was another fun scene because Mando's just running in front of each of them.
Right.
And like trying to scare them, trying to freak him out. And then one of the other he meets I know Queel.
Oh, that's right.
This is the way.
Apparently, like, they all know each other.
They all know each other.
All speak that way.
Yep.
Very interesting.
Every Ugnaught in the galaxy. Bless you.
Thank you.
Sneezing on the truth.
But I like this scene because it is consistent. Like Mando has always been the dude who is able to take what he's learned about cultures and use them to like better understand them and work with them. Like he did it with the Tusken Raiders. He's doing it with the Ugnaughts. Like it's super consistent, and like I liked it a lot. And it juxtaposed him and Bo-Katan, especially when it came to the way they treated droids.
Right.
Like it was completely flipped in the droid bar.
Yes.
Because Mando has his prejudices still.
Mm-hmm.
Despite,
yes. Despite his one friend that's a droid, he still has the same prejudice.
Right.
But it was fun when he goes in and he's like, "I have spoken," and they're like, "Oh, okay."
He said the thing.
He said the thing. Maybe
cool.
he is cool. Yeah,
he knows the secret password.
He does.
Up, down, BA, start, select, BA.
Bo-Katan.
Konami code engaged. We're good.
We're good. We're
cheats
good.
active.
Yep, cheats activated. Bo-Katan is like, "Excuse me, hello, excuse me," and then he's like, "Hey, I know Queel. I've spoken. Oh, hello. How can we help you?"
Oh, Queel, he's my homie. Let's
Queel,
talk.
yeah. He's like, "I know Queel." So then they tell him, and it was fun because they were also leaning into we're not insulting you by saying that your droids are bad. We know your work is impeccable, but someone's messing with your stuff.
We got to make sure that your work, your pristine work, your glorious work, the best work ever. Everyone knows it.
Everyone knows it.
We got to make sure that the mob, the crazy mob. I'm sorry, I'm getting too political.
You are getting very political.
We got to make sure no one messes with your stuff.
That's right.
You're great. Because you're great. You look great today, by the way.
You look great. You're a fabulous Ugnaught. You're glowing. Even their mouths were moving awfully weird. I felt a little too much movement without a.
Well, they're trying to find that balance between actual the practical effects.
Mm-hmm.
And overcoming the obstacles of puppetry.
Yeah.
It is hard to do. I've recognized. I wonder how they get it, and they're getting better, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's still some work to do.
Some work to do. Yeah. And I'm sure they have somebody who's got mouth, sensors on there that making it move along with it or whatever.
I meant to mention to you, by the way, I've been playing The Office Somehow I Manage.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's so dumb, but so fun.
But I'm on there 20 minutes and what am I doing?
Yeah.
And somehow I'm making $6 trillion every 4 seconds. How does this even?
And I'm not even getting the next level up. And it's ridiculous.
Anyway.
But it is fun doing the quests, each mission to just
go through the episodes.
See how they go through the episode and stuff like that. Did you just finish
the Kevin Chili thing?
The Kevin Chili bonus thing that just ended?
I haven't finished it.
It's a bonus that just ended today. Yeah.
Well, I guess I didn't finish it.
You're done. Yeah, you didn't finish it. Bummer. Yeah. So it is a fun little game.
Yeah.
So he meets with Queel. He figures out which droid is going nuts, and then that droid starts running through town, and that's when they have the big chase scene.
And now it's not a bad chase scene. It's not like if they didn't have the jetpacks on, it would have been a fine chase.
It would have been a fine chase scene. Yes.
But they have the jetpacks on.
Yeah, so just fly up and then just attack them from the air or whatever. Yeah. So, but they break it down, and then they find that it's got a chain code connected to it, and it goes all the way back to Christopher Lloyd. The guy in charge is the one who's sabotaging everything.
And this big red button that I teased earlier, this big red button,
this giant red button here,
it's the best red button. Nothing wrong with this.
Nothing wrong with it.
Nope. It's the best thing. But you don't want to touch it because it'll make them stop.
Right.
It'll make them. They won't do the thing.
What I meant to say was it'll make them all go mad and kill
everyone. Yeah, and then they do the thing where didn't she just go zoom zoom?
Yeah, and she
because of course
she hit him with her bat rope.
Yeah, and then because she's a Mandalorian.
Yeah,
the whole time I was waiting for her, y'all are faster than this old man.
Yeah, he's 85. He's 85 years old. You can shoot his hand.
In 1865, he was dueling in the Wild Wild West.
I'll
give you that.
I will. Yes.
But it's been a minute.
It's been a minute since then. I was even thinking it was going to be one of those. She shoots his hand right as he does it, not she gets the grappling hook and just yanks him to the ground, pulls this old man to the ground. She's so mean. But one last thing.
My arthritis now.
Do you know the band, the Bloodhound Gang? Have you ever heard of them?
Sure.
Okay. Every time I hear them use the word Ugnaught, I think of their one song. She's a mix between an Ugnaught and Eugene Levy.
I don't know that song.
Oh my God.
That's horrifying. Bad imagery.
You're Pretty When I'm Drunk is the name of the song.
Oh boy.
It's really funny.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I thought about the Bloodhound Gang.
Oh, they're so fun. They're such a fun band. But yeah, so she mixed between an Ugnaught and Eugene Levy. Every time they say Ugnaught, I have to say in my head, and Eugene Levy.
I want Johnny Jalopy to draw an Ugnaught version of Eugene Levy. That's what I want to see.
That's what you want to see?
That's all I want out of life. Anyway,
so they
now
discover
that the
side
quest is done.
Right, they finished the side quest.
They can
Congratulations.
move on to the main quest.
Right, which was they weren't allowed to talk to the people, to their Mandalorian friends outside because they were protecting the city. Now that they did this little side quest, now they can go. Now you're allowed to go talk to the Mandalorians.
Yeah.
So then they go out there to talk to the Mandalorians, and Axe Woves is leading the charge, and he says, "We don't follow you anymore. You're nothing. You couldn't get the Darksaber back from this guy, so you are useless as a Mandalorian leader, and I am the ultimate Mandalorian leader because I say so."
And then they fight.
And then Mando says, "Well, she beat." Well, he says this first. She actually used the Darksaber to save me when I was trapped. So technically it's hers because she won it in battle, and I just took it back.
So we have a real Malfoy Manor situation here.
Yes.
Where Harry is stuck in the basement, and he gets upstairs, and Malfoy is in his way, and he punches Malfoy and takes his wand away. But little do we know that Malfoy is actually the owner of the Elder Wand. So the Elder Wand somehow knows, despite not being in Draco's possession, that Harry disarmed him and therefore is rightfully Harry's. That's kind of what we got going on here.
This is what we got.
We've got. Well, she didn't take it from me, but I was beat by this weird one-eyed droid, and she beat the weird one-eyed droid. So
with it. So
now that being said, a lot of people have a problem with this scene. I get it, I guess.
You get the problem, or you get the scene?
I get why people have problems with it, but I think there were people who thought that, like I was talking to Chris, and I think he thought that one of the big tension build-ups this season was going to be a big conflict between Din and Bo-Katan for the sword. And I was never really expecting that, honestly. I saw tension there, and I saw that there was conflict, but every episode that went by, you saw them gain more respect for each other.
True.
So,
yes.
I don't think they were leaning into that. I think at the beginning, there was the will that happen?
Right.
But by, a couple episodes in, it was pretty clear that, they're not going to fight over this thing. They're coming to respect, Bo-Katan's coming to respect Din because he clearly walks the way and she says so, and Din respects Bo-Katan because number one, he sees what she can do and how she brings people together, and it was clear from the start, every time Din picked up the Darksaber, he sucked.
He sucked with it.
He never got any better with it.
Yeah.
And then she picked it up for the fight, and she was like a damn Jedi.
Yeah.
So
she was definitely able to wield it. He was taking lessons on how to wield it, and he still couldn't do it because he couldn't relax himself enough to wield it the way it needed to be wielded, and
or else
she
maybe
knew
he
how
just
to.
wasn't supposed to. There's all this mystical talk about Mandalorians and the mythosaur, being seen by Bo-Katan and what that means. At the end of the day, Star Wars isn't so much a sci-fi as it is a fantasy.
Right.
And so there's the Force, but we've also seen that there's different types of the Force. There's the Dark Sisters that use the Force, but they're necromancers and they use this dark. And I think we're going to see a little bit more of that going forward in the Jedi Fallen Order series and stuff. But we see that we're going to see some weird stuff start to happen if we're seeing Ezra come back in.
Yeah,
that we're talking realm between realms stuff. We're talking a lot of mysticism, sort of the Force stuff. The Bendu, I'd love to see.
Yeah,
in live
I'd definitely
action.
love to see the Bendu.
So if we're going that way, the Mandalorians have their own mysticism, and this item was created by a Force user.
Yes.
So it's very could be that the Force is acting through this thing, and it specifically is put into the hands of the person who should be the leader of Mandalore. And, and Din was not that person.
No.
Kyle the Mandalorian.
And if you're, like you said, with the wand in Harry Potter, which, as we all know...
Wand chooses the wizard.
Yeah, as we all know, Harry Potter is just a copy of Star Wars, just with wands instead of lightsabers, but that's just fine. We learn that the dark saber, and even the same thing with regular lightsabers, like how many times has somebody tried to use somebody else's lightsaber and it doesn't work out as well? You know, like it's there. You build your own lightsaber for what you need. We saw Yoda's lightsaber had a very small hilt on it because Yoda's hands were very tiny.
Yeah, imagine like I don't know who's a big guy, like Mace Windu using Yoda's
lightsaber. He wouldn't. Like, yeah. Yeah, he'd just be holding it in his thumb and his finger. Yeah, you know. So the lightsabers are very
cool to use, like that same technology. Like a lightsaber to cut your bread, and then it toasts it at the same time.
There you go. It can slice and toast all at once.
And you can melt your butter as you slice it.
Yes, you can.
A lot of applications for lightsaber.
Lightsabers in the kitchen.
Lightsaber for breakfast. Sharper Image, I'm sure.
Sharper Image has a version of that. Yes, but yeah, so you can tell it wasn't meant for him because he could never learn how to control it, and no matter how hard he tried, it still wasn't cooperating with him.
Yeah, it'd be one thing if we saw him get better with it as time progressed, but every time he took it out, it helped.
It helped.
And he used it in, like, you know, at one point he cut that big droid in half, and so, you know, it was helpful, certainly. But as soon as Bo-Katan picked it up, like, it was clear, like, that this girl knows how to wield this thing. You know, this is the one who should have it.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I mean, I never had I didn't have a problem with the way it was handed over. And I think it made sense, and I liked the message. She was saying that enough Mandalorian blood has been spilled by Mandalorians.
Well, she was always the pacifist one as a whole, right?
No, it was her sister that was the pacifist. And that was the big thing. Her sister was the pacifist, and she was Obi-Wan's side piece. And then, like, she was the one who wanted to use force, and that's how she got mixed up with Death Watch. And then when Maul took over Death Watch, she split from them.
Okay.
But she was always, and this is kind of what I think shows a turning point for her as a character, in that, like, she's still the same character, but she recognizes, we spilled enough Mandalorian blood. We need to unite, even though she was one of the people who spilled Mandalorian blood before.
Right.
And I don't know. I dig her character arc. And I hope they do more character arcs like hers, where, like, she's equal dark and light, but overall she wants to do the right thing.
Exactly.
Because that's human, right?
Yeah.
So anyway.
So then she does defeat Axe Vols, and he submits, and basically once she beats him, she gets the whole army and the whole fleet as well.
Yep.
So she's now bringing that all back to the armor, and they're getting everything all set up to take over Mandalore.
And that's something we've been talking about. Like, now that you know it, like when they gave you the plot of land on the other, on
on Grief Kargas. Yeah.
That's nice, but, like, you just found out Mandalore's still good. You can still go.
You can go back. You can go back to your own planet.
But I mean, they're going to get there. They're going to retake it, and it's going to be like, here's our crystal planet. Look at how crystally it is.
It's like Star Wars. It's like Superman.
Yeah, his Fortress of Solitude.
His Fortress of Solitude, all crystals and like glass and everything like that. So, like I said, originally was like, okay, it was an episode because I wanted the bigger story arc to be something else. I've now accepted that it's not. I understand, and I like where this is going. So I actually will give this an A- episode.
Yeah, I think I'd agree. A- is solid for it. I thought it was a really good episode. It did a lot of different things, right? It told a small story. It told 3 stories. It told a medium story, a large story, and a small story. The small story was going to this planet and dealing with this droid thing. The medium story was getting this, the Mandalorian, kind of infrastructure and political thing under control, and the larger story is how that's going to relate to, Moff Gideon and retaking Mandalore, and which is obviously has large implications for the whole of Star Wars rather than just like this tiny little story.
Yes.
So yeah, I love this
considering
series,
it's funny that this takes place in between Return of the Jedi and Episode 7.
Yeah, and that's the problem I'm having is like, where were the Mandalorians in 30 years?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So is all this happening and then the Mandalorians are like gonna get wiped out?
Are they gonna get wiped out again?
I don't want to keep this cycle going where like every,
yeah.
like the Jedi, like, oh, the Jedi, Luke Skywalker's back, and then, oh, they're all gonna die, and then, oh, let's build them back. Like, we can tell stories about, like, good stories about things that are existing.
Yeah.
That like,
yeah.
I don't know.
So I don't know.
But all right. Again, I think good stuff. We have 2 more episodes in the season. I think we're almost assuredly going to see Moff Gideon next episode.
Yeah.
If not, and again, I hope it's more than just like at the end of the episode. That's the problem with Star Wars as a whole recently, is that they're like, hey, there's this really cool thing in it. Bet you can't wait to see it.
Bet you can't wait. Yeah.
It's going to be
and also 2 episodes ago at the very end, they were like, when Moff Gideon was freed from the prison transport.
Right.
They were like, oh, it was the Mandalorians that did it.
Right, and we haven't heard anything about that
We haven't heard anything about that. We didn't hear anything about it in this episode. And, like, are we going to find out that was a plant that to set the Mandalorians up? Or were the Mandalorians hired to do it, and they did it because it was a job?
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Maybe they were hired by, like, what's her name?
Yeah, the
girl,
the mole on the inside.
Mole.
Yeah,
mole,
yeah.
So Austin Powers references. We've reached that stage.
We have reached that stage. So I hope that's not another inconclusive storyline or unfinished storyline, I guess, because I would like the space cops to not think that the Mandalorians did that,
right.
Because if they didn't, just because you found Beskar, like, we knew Moff Gideon had Beskar because he gave Mando the whole ice cream maker full of Beskar.
That's a lot of Beskar.
Yes, in the beginning. So he has more of it. So are they doing it to set the Mandalorians up for the space police to chase them down? And I do like where the space police are going. It would be cool to see that spin-off show, which was supposed to happen with Cara Dune, but they can replace her with Zeb. Would be a lot more fun since we saw him in the space police hangout bar.
Especially that we know we're getting Hera as well.
Yeah. So
anyway,
I don't know.
Solid A minus.
Solid A minus.
I think that the next 2 episodes should be a hoot. So make sure you don't change that dial.
Don't change that dial.
I don't think anyone that dial. You think anyone understands what a dial is?
No, nobody knows what a dial is anymore. Don't turn that dial. Don't change that dial. Does anybody know who Johnny Carson is anymore?
Who's that?
Who's Johnny Carson?
Johnny. Oh, Johnny.
You are correct.
Johnny.
Yes.
Now the big question is, do people know who Arsenio is?
Arsenio.
Yeah. Did you watch Arsenio?
Oh, I loved Arsenio. Yeah,
see, I was too young for Arsenio.
Yeah, I watched Arsenio.
But it's something I definitely would have. Like, I watch clips every now and then. I'm like, yeah, I would have watched this.
Yeah, it was good. It was fun because it was, at the time, all of the nighttime talk show hosts were all old white men.
Dudes, yeah.
And then here's Arsenio bringing a young hip, and he had like hip bands on and young hip comedians, and
he had some real stuff happen. Like I remember a couple episodes he got pretty real.
Yeah,
and talked about some stuff. Yeah, no,
he had Bill Clinton on when he was running for president. He had him on playing saxophone.
That's right, and I got to tell you, it's so bad. Like every time I watch him, I'm like, oh, that's nice. You're so bad at saxophone, man.
Really, he wasn't good.
He's fine, like insofar as he can play notes.
Okay.
And he, generally speaking, could probably tell you what the name of them are.
Okay. And he could play a song.
There are certainly many high school students who are better than him.
Okay. Well, I'm sure he played in high school.
Exactly.
And then he was like, "Hey, I need a niche here. Yep. So, I can play the saxophone."
And it worked for him. Good for him. But when you're it takes you out being a professional of something. It's like anytime I see a saxophone in like Hollywood, I'm like, wow, look at that. That dude doesn't even have a reed on. It's like you can't stop nitpicking those sorts of things.
Right.
Anyway, Arsenio Hall, the Mandalorian, Kyle the Mandalorian.
Kyle
Kyle from South Park.
Yep.
South Pole, Santa Claus, the Santa Claus, Tim Allen. I'm just free associating.
You are. Norman the Grogu.
Norman the Udall, the Bingo. Anyway, it's been real.
It has been real.
Catch us next time. We have spoken.
We have spoken. All right.